Hey everybody, NFT fans, welcome back to the ENVELOP Podcast. I'm your host, Eugene Crypto MC, and I'm here today with James Park. He's the co-founder and COO at Revolve Games. He's also the speaker of the upcoming CGC 9th conference. He will be having a panel discussion tomorrow at Thursday, September 23rd. So don't miss his presence. So James, it's great to have you on my show. Let's start with your personal story in crypto. I was asked my speakers to explain, how did you get into the blockchain space? What were your main incentives?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually pretty late into crypto. I only started looking at it in about 2018 when markets were really dipping. At the time, I was working in investment capital in private equity and venture capital for a family office based out of Hong Kong, and obviously crypto and blockchain technology was a hype. Well, this was back when it was the ICO hype in 2018, and obviously I watched a couple of cycles come and go, and I joined crypto pretty late actually. I only started really looking into it in 2019, 2020. Fortunately enough to say, I do sort of embrace the technology quite openly, and I think there's a long way that we can go with blockchain and crypto. Obviously, that's one of the reasons why I'm in blockchain gaming. I think blockchain gaming is going to be a huge sector for the future. I think traditional gaming companies are going to have to look at the blockchain for providing their services as well in the future.
Yeah, explain please, what is Revolve Games? What do you guys do in Revolve Games?
Yeah, absolutely. So my co-founder and I, Dan, this was essentially back last September. This was before Axie started to get really big in Asia and around the world. We essentially sort of sat down. We met through a couple of mutual friends. We sat down and we were thinking, because we do like to game. The thing is, why isn't there a platform where people could play games and obviously earn rewards based on how well they play? And that's sort of, we couldn't find something in the market that proved that purpose. And so we set out building something ourselves. And obviously in the beginning, it was much easier. We started off as a single player game sort of platform, and obviously ideas grew beyond that. We started sort of bringing in the metaverse idea, the NFT ideas. So one thing that's big on our platform, obviously we stay true to our original mission, which is to give those dynamic staking rewards. We want to be able to track the performance of every player, and how long they play, how well they play, and reward them based on those statistics. The second sort of unique thing we do is that for what we call actionable NFTs on our platform, those NFTs are actually, so they have a stake of RPG, which is our native token, tethered to the NFT, and that gives the NFT a sort of base value in our token. And that essentially helps sort of the NFT as well as the token and the project grow together in the same direction. What we noticed, especially in March, was that a lot of projects, while their NFTs were going up in value, the projects themselves were declining because the focus was more on the NFTs rather than the project or the technology themselves. And so we sort of built these ideas to really facilitate growth in both.
Yeah, how did you get your first exposure with NFTs in your life, and how do you explain for non-crypto people what the hell is NFT, non-fungible token?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first instance where I saw an NFT was essentially Axie Infinity. I think that's sort of one of the biggest sort of drivers of NFT adoption these days, and obviously that was also a huge sort of hitter for me. I don't actively play the game, but I do own some just Axies for fun here and there. I might consider a scholarship perhaps in the future, but I don't think my Axies are strong enough yet. Essentially, from a technical perspective, an NFT is a digital thing. I think the sort of given that I do have elementary experience and elementary sort of knowledge of blockchain development itself. I think the best way to describe an NFT is just a digital thing. You can program a digital thing to do whatever it wants, and that really is the core idea of an NFT, a non-fungible token. It's the uniqueness of the minter's sort of skill in terms of development or the metadata itself, which gives value to the NFT. And I think that's really one of the sort of core reasons for why NFT adoption and there's a really a big hype for NFTs at the moment. It's about the flexibility of NFTs. It's about the flexibility of what you're able to do with NFTs. It's not only original art, but it's also characters you can use in a blockchain game, for example, and the flexibility of applications of NFTs is I think one of the reasons why it's so hyped at the moment.
Yeah, totally. How do you explain why did we face NFT hype in the digital art space specifically in 2020, 2021? And was it similar or differ comparing with ICO hype in 2017?
I think it's definitely different. I obviously wasn't in sort of the scene, but based on discussions where I had with a couple of friends who were part of the ICO craze, it's sort of like any project at the time with a white paper and a website would get funding. At the time, sort of people weren't thinking about the technology. People didn't care about the technology. They just knew that if they got into the ICOs, they just make 10x, 20x in a couple of weeks and they'd be out. I think sort of the perception of that has changed. There is some sort of driver towards utility. While I do believe that art is still in a primitive form of utility, it is something that people can show off to their friends. Obviously, CryptoPunks was one of the leaders in that. And nowadays, we have the BAYC, the Board Ape Yacht Clubs, and their sort of roadmap for future development is quite interesting. I think they mentioned they were looking at going into blockchain gaming as well. That being said, I do think at some point there will be a limitation of utility that can be provided through artwork, and people and developers and NFT creators will sort of see a trend of moving towards utility-focused NFTs as well.
Well, tomorrow at CGC 9th, you are going to join the panel discussion named GameFi, the play-to-earn phenomenon with Sartini McKenna from Alan Worth, John Jordan, Eugene Shakula. So let me ask you, how did you find the term GameFi? What is it, GameFi?
I think it's basically gaming and decentralized finance put together. How I view decentralized finance is it's about reallocation of resources between sort of all the parties that are involved, and gaming is sort of a relatively good way of redistributing sort of all of those balances. It's sort of, if you consider in traditional gaming, the original model was that these large developers, these large game developers would have to raise a certain amount of capital or they'd be burning capital to develop these games. And really the sole sort of need was to make money. At the end of the day, the traditional game developers created games to make money. But we've moved into a model in blockchain gaming where the game itself is developed by sort of raises by the community as compared to a small group of private investors. Of course, there would be larger investors sort of in part of that process, but a lot of the focus was providing utility and giving back to the community. And I think that's sort of where GameFi it really hits the niche in terms of it's really looking to try and give back to the community and also sort of move away from that original model of we need to make as much revenue as possible. we need to be able to give back to communities, and I think that's one of the reason why Axie is touted as sort of that forerunner of GameFi. I don't know if you've watched the documentary about Axie in Philippines. People in the Philippines, communities in the Philippines are able to sort of continue their daily lives just by playing Axie. And I think sort of blockchain gaming is well positioned to create products that do that for these communities.
We will not uncover all the secrets of tomorrow's panel. We will encourage our listeners to join the panel. But tell us, I wonder, is play to earn phenomena, is that the new paradigm which will have completely changed the gaming paradigm we knew before two decades?
Yeah, absolutely. I think play to earn is here to stay. For me, in my ideal world, I want that sort of something to earn series to continue. And I've spoken about this concept with a lot of people, with a lot of friends, with a lot of other founders, to a lot of communities. I do want to see sort of blockchain or blockchain projects move towards this model of learn to earn. I'm sort of really giving sort of about developmental growth of communities, and obviously education is something that I'm quite passionate about. And I do think play to earn is definitely something that will remain. I would not be surprised if traditional gaming companies look to implement NFTs and play to earn concepts in their future games as well. But for the longer term future, I think the to earn series are here to stay as well. And I do hope for a future where people are able to learn skills to earn.
Yeah, definitely. How do you see the potential use cases of NFTs, the technological tool beyond digital art, gaming, and metaverse? What purposes they will likely be used for in upcoming, let's say, 10 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sort of the most obvious off-chain use case for NFTs is they would serve as certificates to real world objects. I think that's one of the largest or well-touted use case, and I would have to agree. I think there is some time until we get there. There are regulatory hurdles, there are legal hurdles that we need to clear, and obviously it's something that wouldn't be able to be done sort of fully decentralized from the get-go. There would be some hybrid model of a centralized party having to confirm these transactions, but obviously our oracles are there to make the process as decentralized as possible. And I think sort of NFTs as a certificate of real world goods is something that will come within the next year or two, to be honest.
What are your favorite learning resources about NFTs you would like to recommend to our listeners? How to learn effectively about what's going on? Too much news in the industry, too much hype.
True, absolutely. Frankly speaking, it's just trying to find as much information. I don't originally come from a developmental background, but I've sort of learned to gain interest in developing. And so I'm always on the Ethereum GitHub docs and looking at how to build an NFT myself. A lot of people fall into this trap of just going to OpenSea and minting an NFT. That being said, OpenSea is also a great resource to learn about what NFTs are. But I do want people to really look at what's underneath the technology. I don't want them to take it sort of as a granted. And I do want sort of people to understand what an NFT actually is. And obviously those source code documents or even YouTube, I think YouTube is a great resource. It's a great resource hub for people. And I think that's I think maybe I'd like to change my answer to YouTube. YouTube is definitely a great library for content and learning.
Yeah, I agree with you. 100% practical question. Is Revolve Games hiring people now? And if yes, whom do you need? Make all the call to actions and how to reach you. If somebody
absolutely. So we are starting to look at hiring people at Revolve Games. We are actually launching in a couple of days. Our token launch event is on Saturday. So we're really busy for that. But soon after we launch, we do look to create new communities in different languages. And so community managers are a group that we're looking to hire. The other side is obviously game developers. Game developers are currently very high in demand and very limited in supply in the market. And so we're always happy to receive CVs for game developers. So if there are any game developers out there and interested in working at a blockchain gaming company, you can reach out to me by email or on Telegram.
Yeah. Is that correct to say that NFTs have definitely become the factor or a driver of so-called mass adoption of crypto, which we in the community have been praying for years?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an easier story to sell. Sort of to go into that even more deeply. I think blockchain gaming and NFTs will be one of the largest drivers of adoption for crypto in the future, especially as the younger generations would be more would be easier to teach through the medium of gaming, and I think that's why blockchain gaming and NFTs will be the leading adoption factor for the technology.
Yeah, and finally, James, what is the best way to follow you on the internet, on the social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So I unfortunately don't use Twitter as much as I think I do. That being said, I'm always available on Telegram. I do not I don't DM first. I do DM first. I'm always happy to have an intellectual conversation with anyone. I'm also happy to have an intellectual conversation with scammers as well if they'd like to DM me, but obviously I won't spend too much time on them. But I'm always available on Telegram at Revolve Games COO. So anyone who'd like to ask questions, anyone who'd like to look for a job in blockchain gaming, we're also happy to receive CVs at any point. They can find me on Telegram.
I gotcha. Concerning tomorrow's your speech at CGC, whom you would recommend to join CGC to look all the speakers for understanding where the world of NFT is moving towards?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do have to mention Sebastian at the Sandbox. He's also the president at the Blockchain Gaming Alliance. He is really one of the forefront sort of thought leaders in blockchain gaming and the NFT space, and I always do enjoy having a conversation with him. I do also think he has a lot of great ideas, and a lot of content is available on YouTube as well. So if anyone would like to know more about blockchain gaming, Sebastian Borget, that's Borget, is a great search on YouTube.
Excellent. Thank you very much, James. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, to understand where the worlds of gaming, NFT, blockchain, metaverse is moving on. I see we do expect a brilliant future with all this stuff, but we need to learn a lot, especially with such a dialogue, such a podcast. So thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen,
absolutely.
You're listening to the ENVELOP Podcast. James Park and Eugene Crypto MC over you. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell button for not missing the future episode. Join CDC 9th event. Join the panel discussion. Meet our chat with Morten Rodgren and Swans for and explore where the world of NFT is. Thank you for listening and see you next episodes of the ENVELOP Podcast. Bye-bye.
Yeah, see you guys.